Hello, I'm Phyllis Moran, and I'm 89 years old. I was born in Firozpur, the Punjab, India, in 1936. My dad was on the railway, and so that's why I was there. I went to a boarding school up in the Himalayas, and I was there for 5 years till the partition took place. And then, of course, my dad didn't want to get the visas and that to go, because we were in Pakistan when it was divided. So we managed to get a school there in Rawalpindi, and that's where I spent the rest of my time. All we could see was, the flames where they were burning mosques and things like that. But we weren't affected. But then our parents were really worried. So they wrote to the Bishop of Lahore, and he came up with an army convoy to get us down, the ones that were in Pakistan. So he brought us down to Lahore, where there was the same convent, the same order, the Sacred Heart Convent, and we stayed the night there. And in the meantime, my dad came from Kohat, where we were living at the time. So, yes, we were pleased to see him. And that's how, it was a shame we couldn't go back to that school. We had a railway colony, called Westridge. And we had a lot of friends there, and we had a club we could go to. But then my dad was worried, as we were growing up, would we get any jobs, Like, they would choose their own kind of people, wouldn't they, rather than us. So, yes, we all came to Swindon, where we knew some friends. And they put us up for a month till my dad looked around for a house and put down a deposit in Ferndale Road. So I'm back there again, in the middle of Ferndale Road. I lived there till I got married, Ferndale Road. Then I went to Dean Street, and I've come back to Ferndale Road. I lived in a few houses. That was Kohat, the Northwest Frontier Province, for 7 years. But in the meantime, we were going to school as well. Went to school and spent my 6th birthday in the boarding school. So I was there till I was 11, when the partition took place. But we didn't know much about even now the war that's going on. We weren't told about that up in school. Then from Kohat, my dad was trying to get to an English school, so we went to a place called Maru Indus. And the Indus River was just below our house. So we stayed there a little while, and then he got a transfer to Rawalpindi, which had a school. But we sort of missed about a year of schooling because he's trying to get to an English school. Yes, so some people like that were Pakistanis, and that did come to our school, yes. It was mixed. So when I was up in school, I was taught the piano, and we used to have an examiner come from the Trinity College in London to examine us. And the last exam I took, I got honours, and I played the tune "Oh Danny Boy." Yes, so yes, that was nice, learning music. And then it was so nice there when the nuns used to take us for a picnic or take us to a film. We were happy up there. It was quite nice. And we had the clean air all up in the mountains. We had an earthquake the last year we were there. We had tremors. And the nuns were so frightened that they took us out, and we slept outside in the open. The servants were taking the mattresses and that. We were excited to sleep under the stars. Yes, but yes, it was unusual to have earthquakes up in the mountains. I don't know. It was quite level. But then if you got a bus, you could go up to a place called Murray, And from there, if you got another bus, you could get up to Kashmir. So we weren't too far away from Kashmir. But since we left, then they built this new town called Islamabad. And that's where people come in, the flights come into Islamabad now. I was told that when I was talking to a nurse. She said her parents always flew into Islamabad and then they went up to Kashmir. It was a town, a nice town. Yes, plenty of trees and everything. Nice shopping area. We missed the heat. We missed the summer because we only came down. We went up in the beginning of March and we came home at the end of November. So we missed the real hot weather, but my mum and dad experienced that. It was 100 and something in the shade. So that's why my dad had to wear that sort of a solar topi, that, you know, the hat to keep off the sun, and also have an umbrella, you know, to go down to work. My dad, he did his apprenticeship in Bombay, and then he gradually came to different places to work. So I told Sharon there's quite a few places. She's got it all written down. But I missed some of them because I was up in school. So, yes, Dad got to the top. He was a boss managing this railway place with so many men, and he had to get the trains out on time. He was responsible for that. So he had all these drivers under him, and they had a rota. So, yes, it was, well, we were quite close to the railway track. Our house was sort of quite close, and we often saw some friends going off. We'd wave to them. Yes, we had a lot of the friends that were on the railway as well. My father was Anglo-Indian, and he was brought up in Bombay in an orphanage with his brother Jack. But then he had good results, and he did an apprenticeship for the railway. And as he got his results, he was transferred to different places. And when he came to this country, he met up with quite a few people that had been on the railway as well in Plessis. So he felt quite pleased when he saw them. They were all from India as well. Some from India, some from Pakistan. I think he felt a bit uncomfortable till he met some more of his friends in Plessis. And then he felt better, you know. But then my sisters, who went to school in Jennings Street, they had a bit of problems. You know, they were called pakis and stupid things like that. And they're about the same colouring as me. So they didn't really enjoy their school life, yeah. And eventually, when they grew up, they emigrated to Canada. They felt better, you know, more at home there. To come after so many years being in India, to come to England, then the weather wasn't that great, you know. You don't have the seasons. Yes, so, yes, eventually my dad got quite used to the place. Well, he retired when he was in his 50s, so he was 56 when he came to Swindon, because he got his retirement money as well, which paid for our passages on the Batory and the deposit for a house. So, you know, that was quite good. We came to some friends in Swindon who lived in Liddington Street, because my dad was friendly with Mr. Perry was his name, and they put us up for a month till my father looked for a place for all of us, because there was 8 of us. And we were with these people in a semi-detached house. They gave up a couple of rooms, you know, to accommodate us. Yes, so when we got here in January, we came to Southampton on the 6th of January, and we disembarked on the 7th. And it was a cold and frosty morning. And we were going to travel by train, but this taxi driver came and said to my dad, I can take you to Swindon for about £8. So my goodness, from Southampton to Swindon for £8 with all of us piled in the taxi and with some luggage as well. Yeah, so that's how we got to Swindon, but it was freezing. And so when we got to this lady's place, we didn't know her that well. She said, oh, you'll have to come and get your ration books. So we had a bit of a snack, and then we had to get the bus into town to get these ration books, because it was still rationing. Some of the things were on rations. But with a big family, it wasn't too bad, because you got extra, you know, extra eggs or bacon or whatever.
What?
In Pakistan, we were used to an open space, but when we came to England, we were a bit cramped because it was a terraced house. But the lady that we stayed with, she had a semi-detached, which is a bit larger than the terraced. Yes. But my dad was in such a hurry to get a place that he just took the first house. You know, he could have chosen a better one. This friend came from England. He had settled his family in Swindon, and he was the one that said to my dad, you should come to Swindon for the railway works, okay? So that's what we did. So we came to his house in Liddington Street. We didn't know his wife or anything. She was very house proud. If you did some sweeping or something, she'd come behind you and sweep again. Oh my God. You know, so we were glad to get out of the place. No, she was really awkward, you know what I mean? Like, you do try to help her, and she'd come and do the same thing that you had just finished doing. So that wasn't very encouraging, you know. Because I don't think she had a vacuum cleaner years ago. I think gradually everybody got those things, like a vacuum cleaner, a washing machine, and things like that. So even when I was in Ferndale Road, I was sweeping and brush and pan. Yes, we did quite a lot of washing by hand, you know, because there were no laundrettes. And I don't think this lady we stayed with even had a washing machine then. So, yes, a lot of it was hand washing. In Pakistan, yeah. Yes, we had a cook, and his name was Vilayat Khan. So he stayed with us for 12 years, and we knew his children and his wife and everything. And sometimes his daughter would come into our living room and dance for us. You know, we didn't mind that. She liked to dance. But then we had somebody they called him a dhobi. And he used to come and take all the heavy stuff, sheets, towels, and everything. You might have seen how they washed before. They used to have a big sort of an air tank, like with water, and they'd bash the clothes. And then they'd dry them out in the sun, and they were like bleached, really good. And the irons they used was charcoal, really heavy, you know. But we do, like, our good clothes, we'd either send them to the dry cleaners or we'd hand wash them. My mum, if the cook was sick, she would do the cooking. And like, she never went to work. Most of the wives were at home, but they'd make these jams and pickles and, you know, different things. And they were very fond of knitting and doing embroidery. So they used to keep busy like that, you know. Actually, my mum taught the cook to cook, how to make different roasts and things like that, you know. So if he was sick, she would take over and she would do some cooking as well. My dad was Anglo-Indian and my mum was Irish. And that was quite a common thing, mixed marriages. So, no, nobody took a lot of notice of that. There was a lot of that, a lot of sort of fair skins. But one of my mum's sisters, she married a soldier and she came to England. And so the mother-in-law was really expecting her to be black. So she got a shock to see her. She had a white skin. So, a lot of them were really ignorant about other nationalities. And then, also when I got here to Swindon and got to work in Plessis as a typist, they used to say, oh, did you learn to speak English on the boat? I thought, how silly is that? In 2 weeks, just learn to speak English. I said, no. We all spoke English. My parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents all spoke English. That was her job. She used to go to different families to look after the children, and that's how she met. Because my dad lost his first wife. She died at childbirth with the third child. And so eventually she was working for him, looking after his 2 children. So they fell in love. To me, it doesn't really matter, because I married an Irishman. He was from Mayo, County Mayo. Yeah, so I met him at the town hall at a dance. Like we used to years ago, meet up different people at dances. So I met him at the town hall, which was a dance every Saturday. But I didn't have a date till about 3 months later. I got tonsillitis, so I didn't get dancing for a while. Yes, so we were together for 5 years and then we got married. But he took me to Ireland, where his parents, his mother, he didn't have a dad. And I always used to tease him and say he took me there to see if she approved of me. So, yes, so it was nice. Yes, he was from a nice place as well. That's where, oh no, Chiara's not going there. Sharon is. They're going to Dublin to celebrate my daughter's 60th, Lorraine, who's in Colorado.
Nice.
This is a place called Kohat, K-O-H-A-T, and that's my mum. That's one of the houses, the railway houses. My dad actually didn't buy a house when he was abroad because the railway used to just charge a bit of rent. So you moved on each time. And that's my mother, and that's my sister Zoe. And she's in Canada now. This is me as a little girl on a swing, but I can't tell you which house this was in. I don't have it on the back, no. That's me as a child. This was me up in the school called the Sacred Heart Convent High School Dalhousie, and that's my music teacher, Miss Tobit. And my dad insisted that we all learned to play the piano. So my other sisters also learned. So when we went to Agra, my Uncle Jack invited us for Christmas. My teacher was there in Agra, and we went to this club, the Telegraph Club, and I was able to introduce my parents to her. So that was really nice. They met her. My dad was advised to come from his friend to work on the Swindon Railway the factory. But when he went, they just offered him a labouring job, and he said no. I was a boss, so he didn't take any jobs that they were trying to offer him. So that's when he went to Plessis. And I think that happened with a lot of the other people that came here thinking they could get on the railway, but they ended up in Plessis. So my dad, he was happy in Plessis because he was on the bomb line. They were still making some bombs. So he was on inspection. They used to put bits and pieces, and in the end he had to see if it was okay. So that was an easy job for him. And then I got a job in the office, so we'd meet up at lunchtimes. They used to have dinners, and my dad used to ask us what we would like. My sister Gladys also worked there for a while. Yes, they made proper dinners if you wanted one, or some people would just go into the canteen and eat their sandwiches. We used to have the curries always, so I still make a curry for my family. And my grandchildren, they like my curries. Yes, we used to have, well, we had English food abroad as well as, curries. We didn't eat curries all the time. So, yes, a choice. We used to like the Indian sweets. Well, I still get them, There's a place in Gorse Hill. And in Kohat, and that's one of his mates. Yes, he was very close to his office, just 5 minutes down the road. He didn't say much about his parents, all that, his mum passed away when he was 12, and he was in this orphanage with his brother because his two sisters were already married. They got married quite young. He was a lovely father. He took part in everything. He showed us all the different games, Monopoly and all the board games. And then he used to play badminton with us as well. We always had, where we had a lot of space, we had a badminton court. So we'd play that, and we'd get friends as well. There was an RAF camp, so we made friends with a lot of RAF people as well. They used to come over, yes, visit. This is in Kohat, but they always wore those hats because of the sun, keep the sun off. We had to sail from Karachi, and that was just a few days before Christmas. So it was called Polish Ocean Lines, yes. So we were on there for 14 days. But then we went through the Suez Canal as well, and we got to this port called Aden. So you could go ashore. So that's where we went. We got a taxi and went into the town with my dad. My mum was very seasick. She didn't leave her bedroom. She was too seasick. Then we also went to Gibraltar, but we couldn't go across because somebody was ill, and all we could see was Gibraltar lit up at night, the rock lit up at night. So then from there we sailed to Port Said. But again we couldn't go ashore because of somebody being ill. And then the last thing was Southampton. So we were on the cruise line for 14 days. We left in December 1952 and arrived in the UK, Southampton, in January the 7th. Oh, there was quite a lot to do. There was a gym there if you wanted to, and there was a swimming pool if you wanted to go in the swimming pool. And then there was dancing every night, and an odd night there was a film. You could watch a film. So the one was Singing in the Rain, one of them. I went there with Colin. We watched the film. And then it used to be dancing every evening. My family tell me I remember a lot. I've got a good memory, so that's one good thing. Even though I've had a brain operation last year, my brain seems to be okay. I was busy with 5 children, and then the grandchildren came along, so I've always had some company. I've done quite a bit of babysitting in my time. Yes, so I think that keeps you healthy when you're doing something. Looking at me, I might not look South Asian, but I was born in Firozpur, the Punjab, India, in 1936.